Drama movies are characterized by their portrayal of deep, serious, and emotional stories. In order to deliver these stories in a way that is most meaningful to a viewer, the directors of these movies must make a number of decisions, including lighting and camera shot selection. These decisions have a great impact on how a film is received. Through examples from 3 fairly new drama films, I will be analyzing how the director's use of wide or panning empty shots of a character setting affect the sense of loneliness in a scene. In his video essay entitled Composition and Storytelling, YouTuber Channel Chris Wells says this about the use of negative space in film.
Space is often used to show the vast expanse of an area. However, on a psychological level, negative space can create apprehension, as we expect something to take place of the void we see. But in terms of characterization, it can be used to create instances of characters that have no hope, shown by the emptiness that lies beyond them.
These empty shots develop the story as well as the characters. As viewers, we make assumptions about characters because of how they are presented in these lonely surroundings. My first example comes from Danny Boyle's 127 Hours, which tells the extraordinary true story of Aaron Ralston, a climber who became trapped between 2 rocks after an accident. The movie portrays Aaron's struggle to survive with little food and water, while also struggling to free himself, eventually leading up to the dismemberment of his own arm in order to save his life. Throughout the movie, the viewer is shown panning camera shots of the vast, barren Utah landscape. These shots are a constant reminder of how alone Aaron really is. In her book, In Lonely Places, Film Noir Beyond the City, cinema writer Imogen Sarah Smith describes the effect that desert landscapes can have in film. She writes that it is a place defined by absence, whose emptiness provokes a primal ambivalence. The same absence and emptiness is reflected by those who are subjected to the land, like Aaron. The horizontal and vertical pans make the viewer understand that Aaron is cut off from civilization from all possible angles. They show the extremity of his situation and add a layer of depth to the already existing feeling of desperation. The pairing of these shots with Aaron's worrying show just how helpless he is. Before 127 Hours was a movie, it was a book. However, text cannot convey the helplessness and desolation as effectively as sweeping shots of the vast emptiness. This is an advantage that film has over text. Even though we are not explicitly told how to interpret these camera shots, we are still able to understand the code based on the context of the movie. Shots that don't feature the film's characters don't have to be completely devoid of life to portray the same feeling of loneliness. In Lost in Translation, director Sofia Coppola creates a depressed, distant feeling for the characters in the film. However, unlike the empty nature shots in 127 Hours, the shots in Lost in Translation focus on densely populated, busy, urban areas in Japan. Coppola is using the opposite of loneliness to illustrate loneliness. Despite having what an outsider may view as happy lives, the 2 main characters of the film, a celebrity named Bob and a woman named Charlotte, live empty, unsatisfying lives without direction. Life moves too fast for them, causing them to feel distant from others and sad. This feeling is emphasized by the wide shots of the crowded, fast-paced city. Even when Charlotte leaves Tokyo, she is still encompassed by emptiness. The viewer is able to connotatively reason that it follows her everywhere she goes. The empty shots Sofia Coppola uses serve as a strict contrast to the behaviors and the emotions of the characters, which provides some context as to why the characters feel the way they do. The fast-paced and brightly lit pans of Japanese cities convey the feeling that the world around the characters is too overwhelmingly busy, leaving Charlotte and Bob behind. The shots alienate Bob and Charlotte from their surroundings, as well as emphasizing their sadness. Director Anna Rose Holmer discussed the impact of empty space in her movie The Fits, saying that the space itself became a character. This is the case in my third example, Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained. A lonely setting doesn't always define a character. Sometimes it's the lack of a familiar setting that creates a lonely, homeless feeling. In Django Unchained, a slave named Django strives to be reunited with his wife, who was bought by a different slave owner. Until he finds her, he lives a lonely, painful life as a slave. Although Django isn't the only lonely character in the film's second main character, a bounty hunter named Dr. Schultz, also embodies loneliness. We are not told anything about Dr. Schultz's personal life before he meets Django, so it's easy to assume he doesn't have a lot of family or friends. Plus, he kills a majority of the people he comes in contact with. The empty shots in this film come whenever Django and Dr. Schultz arrive at a new location. While this does serve the purpose of establishing a new setting and a new scene, it also contributes to character development. Each new town or slave plantation is just another unfamiliar setting where Django and Dr. Schultz will be alienated, hated, and alone. Quentin Tarantino uses empty shots to visually describe what are, in essence, empty locations. They provide no real enduring happiness for the two characters. In addition, the shots of the bleak, empty land that the characters travel through to get to their next plantation is like icing on their lonely cake. No matter where they are surrounded by loneliness and lack of fulfillment. In a way, the loneliness that follows the characters throughout the movie is like an invisible character. Instead of an actor, this character is portrayed through wide, expansive shots. Both of the characters, a slave and a bounty hunter, were looked down upon by society. As the empty shots often show the characters' isolation in nature, they are reflective of their isolation in society. Quentin Tarantino makes this clear, allowing viewers to make paradigmatic connotations about the characters. Wide, panning, characterless shots of empty settings are a very useful technique to emphasize the loneliness of a character or scene, far better than what can be expressed through text or other film techniques. These shots are able to quickly show a vast amount of geographical space, which makes the character seem small and insignificant. They create a separation distance between a character and the rest of the world. Empty shots can also create a feeling of helplessness, that no matter how lonely you are, the world won't listen. Whether these shots feature lots of extras or no people at all, they all create similar moods and effects for a viewer. This technique is effective because filmmakers don't have to explicitly describe a character's loneliness, because viewers understand the code to interpret it and connotatively understand its meaning.